The sound is not a roar, but a dry, intimate crack of stone on bone. It is followed by a silence more profound than any roar could ever be. The great stag, its leg broken in the fall, thrashes in the gully below, forgotten. Every eye is fixed on the rockfall, a fresh scour of pale limestone on the grey cliffside. The old one lies at its base, a crumpled shape that is no longer moving. He does not twitch, he does not groan. For these ancient humans, these Homo heidelbergensis, life is a simple, brutal equation of movement and stillness. The old one is utterly still. The mind of the clan is gone. They inch closer, a hesitant pack of 7. The wind keens across the open plains of this world, a world that existed more than 500,000 years ago. It is a land of giants, a chapter in prehistoric life where survival is measured in hours, not years. The largest male, his brow a heavy shield of bone, nudges the old one's shoulder with a foot. There is no response. The silence stretches, pulled thin and tight. He was the one who knew the secret paths, the places where water hides even in the dry season. He was the one whose gaze could read the bellies of the clouds, whose hands could coax a killing edge from a dull stone. His memory was the clan's memory. Reversed, unwritten map of seasons, dangers, and cures. Now, it is just blood and dust. A young female begins to rock on her heels, a low whimper catching in her throat. She is the old one's daughter. She remembers the way he would chew the bitter root to soften it for her when her teeth were small. The others watch her, their own fear reflected in her grief. They are adrift, the knowledge of which berry fat tends the winter stores and which brings the shaking sickness. The technique for turning a wreckage into a trap. The rhythm of the great herd's migrations, it was all held behind those now shattered eyes. For these early humans, this is not just the loss of a leader. It is a catastrophic systems failure. They are a body that has lost its brain. A flicker of humanity emerges as the daughter kneels, her fingers gently brushing the matted, grey hair from his face. She retrieves his lean hand axe, its teardrop shape still perfect, and places it in his unfeeling grip. And uttering a question to a silent sky. What now? The stag in the gully gives one last, shuddering breath and falls quiet. Its own struggle ended. The clan barely notices. They are staring into a new, terrifying emptiness, a future they no longer know how to read. Their hominid history has reached a precipice. Hunger is a patient predator. 3 suns rise and set, and the memory of the stag's meat is a ghost in their bellies. The grubs they find under damp stones are not enough. The birds' eggs they raid are too small. The ache in their gut is a constant, grinding reminder of their failure, of the stillness at the base of the cliff. Braille, the heavy-shouldered male, grows restless. His strength is a useless burden without a target. He sees the clan's fear turning to lethargy and mistakes it for a challenge to his own dominance. He takes the lead. He does not ask. He commands with a grunt and a jab of his chin toward the open plains. A vast, swaying sea of grass under a pitiless sky. They follow, a straggling line of tired bodies. Their movements lack the quiet purpose the old one instilled. He taught them to walk the unseen pathways, the subtle depressions in the land that hid them from the eyes of both prey and predators. A network he had mapped in his mind that formed a safe scavenging corridor. Brer walks in a straight line. He craves confrontation. Soon, he spots them. A small herd of bison, part of the formidable Pleistocene megafauna, grazing near a shallow stream. He sees only meat. The old one would have seen more. He would have tasted the wind, noting it carried their scent directly to the herd. He would have seen the lack of cover, the way the dominant bull stood apart, watchful and edgy. He would have known this was a fool's hunt, a waste of precious energy. Brown knows only the fierce desire to kill. The charge is a frantic, disorganized burst of aggression. Brown roars, a sound of pure frustration, and hurls his spear. It strikes the bull's flank, a shallow, irritating wound. The beast wheels around, not with fear, but with monumental rage. Its head lowers, a wall of horned fury. The earth trembles as it thunders toward them. The clan scatters, their coordinated attack dissolving into individual panic. One of the younger males is too slow. A horn catches his leg, tossing him through the air like a dry branch. He lands with a sickening crunch. The others drag him away as the herd, now fully alerted, gallops into the horizon, leaving nothing but dust and the clan's ringing failure. They return to their shelter as twilight bleeds across the sky, carrying their wounded, their hunger now sharper, seasoned with the bitter taste of defeat. The landscape of this ancient earth, once a map of opportunity in the old one's mind, is now an alien territory. Their survival skills feel like a forgotten language, its most important words now lost forever. The poison works quietly. The old one's daughter lies by the cold fire pit, her body racked with tremors. A half-eaten root, pale and fibrous, lies beside her, lit up like the sweet root, the one they could always rely on. But its subtle differences are slight bitterness. A faint red vein in the leaves were a secret held only by the dead. Brow stands over her, useless. His fists can shut a bone, but they cannot command the life to stay in her body. This is a failure more profound than a bungled hunt. It is a failure of the senses, a failure of memory. The primal fear of a death that comes from within, from a simple mistake, settles over the clan like a shroud. They are not just starving, they are becoming fools in their own land, a land that is actively trying to kill them. But one watches, a younger male, smaller than Brown, with a stillness that is not lethargic but attentive. He was the one who always trailed the old one, not to learn the grand gestures of the hunt, but to observe the minutiae, the flick of a wrist to test a branch's strength, the way a tree decrumbles soil between his fingers to read its moisture, the patient act of watching a single plant for a whole day to see what ate it and what shunned it. He is not trying to remember the old one's knowledge. He is trying to remember how the old one learned it. This subtle distinction is a turning point in the long saga of human ancestors, a cornerstone of anthropology. He picks up the discarded root, sniffs it, and mimics the old one's grimace of distaste. He remembers, not this root, but the method of knowing. He leaves the shelter without a sound. He does not head for the plain. He goes to the muddy banks of the stream where the bison scattered them, a place of failure. There, using a sharpened stick, a primitive technology he pries at a rotting log, he ignores the splinters and the stench. Inside, a teeming colony of fat, white larvae ride. This was another of the old one's hidden larderes, a food of last resort. He gathers them in a large leaf, then moves to the streamlet itself, digging his fingers into the cold mud, feeling for the hard-shelled mollusks in the old one collect. He is not just finding food, he is rebuilding the clan's cognitive mapping of this world, one desperate discovery at a time. Back at the shelter, he offers the shivering daughter a shelled mollusk. She turns her head away. He eats one himself. He chews, swallows, and waits. The clan watches, their breath held. Nothing happens. He offers another. This time, she takes it. Her chewing is weak, but it is a start. He shares the rest. An act of altruism that redefines power. Leadership is not the strength to command, but the foresight to provide. As the clan eats, a new equilibrium settles. Brow watches, his dominance broken not by a rival's strength, but by a quiet man's intelligence. The body of the tribe, nearly dead from forgetting, has begun to grow a new mind. The endless march of prehistory has taken another, uncertain step forward. We pull back from the flickering firelight, from the taste of gritty shellfish and the fragile warmth of a shared meal. The camera of the mind descends, and the small clan becomes a single point of light in the vast darkness of a continent, one of countless sparks in the deep narrative of human evolution. Their struggle was not exceptional. It is the foundational story. What we witness is not just the survival of a few individuals, but the birth of a strategy that would define our species when the living library burns down. When the hard-won knowledge of a generation is lost to a falling rock or a predator's charge, the future belongs not to the strongest, but to the most observant, the most curious, the most willing to learn the world anew. This capacity for rediscovery, for building new knowledge on the ashes of the old, is the engine of our ascent. From the first Herculean hand axe to the gleaming satellites that now orbit this ancient turf, the principle remains unchanged. The ghosts of these ancient humans walk with us still. Their hard choices and desperate innovations encoded in the very structure of our societies, a legacy written not in stone, but in the instinct to cooperate when the mind of the tribe goes dark. Their battle against ignorance is our own, for now with different tools, but against the same encroaching shadows. The past is not a foreign country. It is the architecture of the house in which we all live. This is the chronicler, feeling for the shape of the oldest ruins. What happens when the greatest threat is not forgetting, but remembering too much?